Hello everybody, this is Professor Hill, and this is a short video for our class Introduction to Ethics, Philosophy 2306 here at St. Philip's College. This is the Maymester kind of condensed, concentrated class, and we're trying to get through our textbook, Doing Ethics by Vaughn, in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be answering some discussion questions about some of the concepts raised in the textbook. Finish up with a final exam at the end of the month. But I know people are still trying to get their textbooks. We just started yesterday because today's Tuesday, May the 15th, 2018. People are still trying to get their textbooks. I added some to the number in the library. We also have some up in the department, which is in room 219 in the Sutton Learning Center on campus at St. Philip's. Now, it turns out that once you get your textbook, you're going to want to read Chapter 1 and use the concepts there to help you answer our first case study, which is due Wednesday night. Like I said, our schedule is going to be Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday. So, you got the textbook, you're reading it, and I just wanted to explain some of the key concepts as we get into the chapter, and to let you know, number one, that Norton, the publisher of the textbook Doing Ethics, maintains a study guide. You'll see in the module links which will take you to this online student study guide, which helps explain the chapter and the concepts. It has a little outline, some flashcards, some other things. It's not required. I just wanted to let you know that there's an online resource to help you with this textbook. Now, in Chapter 1, he starts off talking about what I mentioned yesterday, which is ethics. And the definition we're talking about here is the philosophical study of morality. And morality is simply our beliefs about good and bad, right and wrong. And I specifically mention the philosophical study of morality for our definition of ethics because it leaps into what it calls in our Chapter 1 the ethical landscape. And it mentions a couple of different types of ethics. It breaks it down. And the first is descriptive ethics, which is the scientific study of morality. And that's a little bit different. This is the descriptive part is really what the social scientists are doing when they get out, they run surveys, they try to get data that helps us understand individuals in a community, whether that's a city, a state, a country. And an example of that is, again, something that I put online into the first of our modules, which is a link to a Pew Charitable Trust survey. And what you'll see is the survey was called Global Views on Morality. It was done 5 years ago, and they asked 40,117 people in 40 different countries, so about 1,000 people per country, what they thought about 8 key moral issues. And what they looked at were things like extramarital affairs, gambling, homosexuality, abortion, premarital sex, alcohol, divorce, and the use of contraception. And they take all this information and they help us get a sense of what are the global views on moral issues. And then you can see there's a comparison. They break it down by country and by issue, so you can really delve into it and see how dramatically people's beliefs about these moral issues change from culture to culture. They're extraordinarily different. In fact, when I do this in class, in the online, a face-to-face class, I kind of toggle back and forth between a Western, developed European country like France or Germany, and then compare that against other countries, developing countries, traditionally Muslim countries, places where they have very different values and beliefs about these moral issues. And it's staggering to see how great the differences are from place to place and culture to culture. But the actual doing of the survey, the social scientists, the guys in the white lab coats and the clipboards, the guys that are making the phone calls and making sure they're doing this in a controlled scientific way. That's descriptive ethics. That's literally describing the ethics of a place, a city, a country. In this case, 40 different countries. So it's a fascinating survey. You should take a look at it. And we'll come back to the actual survey and the results of that in a minute. But again, pushing on from that, they also talk about normative ethics. And normative ethics, these are the moral norms that guide us in our decision making. It's essentially the what. What did you find in each of those different countries? What do people believe in India versus what people believe in Mexico or France? Those are the norms that are discovered by the process of running a descriptive ethical study. It's a little bit different than, so we've got the study which uncovers the norms which are essentially what are the values that guide us in our decision making. And then there's also a process called metaethics. This is looking at or studying the meaning and the logical structure of our values and beliefs. It's kind of, meta just means literally above. So it's kind of like standing back and thinking, okay, well, what are our values and do they make sense? Have they changed in the light of lived experience or intercultural contact? It's a thinking process of examining what those values are. That's metaethics. And the last of the four they talk about is applied ethics. That's kind of a small corner of ethics that has to do with the application of these moral norms into very particular specific professions like medicine or law. So for example, in law, there are obviously city, state, federal laws that apply to our behaviors. But if you're a member of the bar, if you're a lawyer, there's also a code of ethics that you have to apply to, and they reflect the best practice of professionals over many years. And the hook there is not if you violate this code of ethics. It's not that you'll be arrested and tried and taken to jail. Here it's more like the profession is policing itself, and you write up a complaint to an ethics board, they investigate, and the board has the power to reprimand you, to suspend you from practicing. I mean, it's the state license, essentially, which they use to control and enforce the ethics. And ultimately, they could disbar you. They could take away your right to practice law in that state. Now, that's a code of ethics specific to the law, but there's also ones for medicine, many other different professions which are licensed by the state have codes of ethics. It's a very common experience. It turns out that that's applied ethics or professional ethics. These are the ones which govern people and how they practice a particular profession. So those are the four. Tomorrow I'll talk a little bit about the next block of four. He talks about this first, the descriptive, the normative, the metaethics, the applied ethics. That's in the first block of chapter 1. Tomorrow we'll spend a little bit more time talking about what he calls the elements of ethics, the preeminence of reason, universal perspective, impartiality, and ultimately the dominance of moral norms. But that's for tomorrow, Wednesday the 16th. I'll tune back in then. Take care. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.